I'm never going to do anything to hurt our farmers. The One Big Beautiful Bill will also be an incredible victory for American farmers, another group that we did great with, especially family farmers.
Never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate.
We are very concerned about the current outlook. As a soybean farmer, we are dependent on trade. Right at 50% of the soybeans produced in the United States are exported. China takes more of our soybeans than all other foreign customers combined. So they're a major part of our market, and this trade war is very concerning to us right now.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
You said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another Think Out Loud breakdown. If you're new here, pull up a chair and grab your coffee. This is the spot where we laugh, we learn, and we sometimes wonder out loud how much FAFO a country can take before it runs out of duct tape. And to my loyal crew, you already know, it feels good to be back with the family. Now, if you've been here a while, you remember we already did a big breakdown on MAGA farmers, but today we're zooming in on soybeans, America's #1 cash crop, the golden child of the Midwest, and now the most awkward bean at the barbecue. And listen, around here we're not shy about dissecting FAFO, sector by sector, subsector by subsector. Heck, if I have to go crop by crop, bean by bean, I will. Because the irony in this story, it's richer than the topsoil in Iowa. Here's the setup. For years, China was America's biggest soybean customer, buying more than half our exports. That's not just a customer. That's like your best friend who always picks up the check. But then Trump decides to play trade war chicken with Beijing, and poof, that golden ticket is gone. China slides over to Brazil and never looks back. MAGA farmers, meanwhile, are cheering short-term pain, long-term gain, while standing next to silos full of beans that no one wants. And now, there's even talk of another bailout package. Yep, lining up for another round of taxpayer soy sauce to cover the bitter taste. And the same folks who preach no handouts are out here polishing their forks for a second serving. Oh, and before we get too deep, I saw your comments asking for an FAFO edition on truckers. Don't worry, it's on the way. I may not respond to every single comment, but I read them all, I appreciate you all, and honestly, you're the reason this community feels like home.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Global Views with Josh, the place where we unpack politics, hypocrisies, and the wide ride called America. Now, if you're new here, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss any of our weekly truth bombs. Now, let's dive into today's story. And oh boy, it's juicy. You know the old saying, you reap what you sow? Well, it looks like America's MAGA farmers are doing some serious reaping right now. Except it's not corn, not soybeans, it's the bitter fruit of Trump's tariff war with China.
The tariffs are working. The tariffs are working. If you're 50 years old and have a 401k, you've lost about $74,000 in the past 3 months. Does that feel like it's working?
No, I've lost more than that.
I made this shirt right after the mugshot came out because it's one of the most, important photos of all time.
Yeah. Why is it important?
I mean, it just shows you how corrupt the system is, that he could be, arrested and shown in front of everyone, like in this embarrassing manner on totally trumped up charges.
Do you feel that it would be government overreach to try and take or limit people's ability to have firearms?
I don't feel that way. It is that way. Yeah, it would be. The Second Amendment guarantees our right to keep and bear arms.
Would it be government overreach to enter someone's home, a U.S. citizen, without a search warrant?
Absolutely. Wouldn't you?
That's allowed to happen right now. Donald Trump has ordered that people ICE agents can enter homes without a warrant.
He has?
Yes.
I don't know.
Is that government overreach?
Your government overreach.
What are your thoughts on the deportations that have happened so far?
Well, I like to call them homecomings because you came to our country, we paid for it, we put you up, we fed you, and now we're sending you home where you came from. It should be a celebration.
A lot of these people are being sent to El Salvador, even if they're not from El Salvador.
To me, I don't care where they get sent to. They don't belong here.
Do you like that he's kind of trying to influence universities and what's taught in universities?
Yes. Yes.
Are you behind that as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The pressure he's putting on Harvard to kind of change the way they're doing things?
Yes. Yeah.
Did it seem strange a little bit that he started Trump University and then had to pay $25 million because it was deemed a fraud, but he wants to tell other universities how to teach?
I'm like a huge Trump supporter, so I don't have an issue with that.
I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
We made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
It's awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop, to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it away.
Bachmann blames President Trump for the soybean crisis, even though he voted for him. He says new tariffs are forcing China to buy soybeans from Argentina and Brazil. Now many Iowa farmers face selling this year's crop at a huge loss.
The way things are, there won't be a farmer left in 5 years if things don't change, because our expenses are so high and the crop is worth less than it was 30 years ago.
Bachmann survived the farm crisis during the 1980s. It led to thousands of farm foreclosures. If the federal government offers crop payments to help farmers, Bachmann says he'll say no thanks.
We would a lot rather have free markets than a handout.
Bachmann recently asked Iowa Senator Charles Grassley for help with those free markets.
I told him that the 1980s farm crisis is going to look like a picnic compared to today if things don't change and change fast.
Okay, yeah, did I fuck around? Did I find out? Yeah, am I going broke because of fucking tariffs? I goddamn near went broke because of tariffs. But guess what, guys? I got 2 fucking checks in the mail today from the United States Department of fucking Agriculture. One was only for $250,000 and one was only for $126 fucking thousand. Fucking Trump literally thinks that I can live off of $380 fucking $1,000. He literally thinks that I'm going to live off of $380,000 this year after all the havoc that he caused with fucking tariffs in our splorn crop. I can't sell my fucking splorn. China is the only place that buys splorn other than Antarctica, and both of those fucking countries will not take our fucking splorn.
Good morning. We got us a little bit better news, Yersty. Seems like our government's going to give us a little bit of a, I guess y'all going to call it a bailout. It's a subsidy. It's a little bit of a check. It ain't going to be much. It's going to come from some of this tariff money. Thank the good Lord. But just let me be the first one to tell you, farmers in general do not want subsidies. We don't want them at all. We don't want these, what y'all call a bailout. We don't want that. We want a fair trade plan, a good market value. That's what we want for our crop. We can out yield any amount of money the government's going to get us. And furthermore, whatever money they give us, 75 or 80% of that is just going to slip through our hands. It's going to pay off our expenses and our inputs, your diesel fuel, your tires, your equipment payments, your fertilizer, your seed costs, chemical costs, labor costs. It ain't like we're just going to get all these checks and just go willy-nilly buy boats and houses and stuff. That'd be a good idea, but it ain't that kind of money. It ain't that big of dollars. We can out yield it. We can make way more money if they'll just get us a good farm bill and get us a good trade plan, in which I don't know what's coming in the future. This might all be worth it in the end. That's just the way it goes. You don't know what everybody's thinking, and I'm not talking right side of the aisle, left side of the aisle. I don't know what's going on up there. I feel like we're going to get us some kind of little subsidy, a bailout as everybody calls it, and I know y'all are going to be all up in my comments. That's all right. I can take it, baby. It ain't that big a deal. But I just want y'all to know, we don't want the subsidy. Yeah, we're going to take it because we need any help we can get, or we're going broke. And when a farmer goes under, if you live in a rural community, when farmers start taking a big hit and going broke, That trickles down into all your small businesses, all your little boutiques, tire shops, grocery stores, gas stations. When we get hit, y'all get hit in these rural areas. I hope y'all having a great day. We don't want the subsidies. Get off my back. And y'all get after it, baby.
American farmers have destroyed themselves by voting for this Trump regime. Their hate for so many groups of people that they have learned to demonize allowed them to vote themselves out of business by voting for Donald Trump and today's MAGA Republicans. I don't know what else to say. We already know how the American soybean farmer was decimated this fall. China, their biggest customer, placed exactly 0 orders for soybeans from American farmers because of Donald Trump's regime's tariffs. They went to Brazil. We all saw the videos of the farmers crying in Arkansas, I believe it was. Please, Mr. President, we love you, but come save us. Oh, you guys, it just gets so much worse. So you know how our $20 billion in taxes, yours, Mr. Farmer, and mine, was just snatched from us and given to the leader of Argentina to help keep their version of Donald Trump in power? Your 20 billion and my 20 billion? This was screenshot on our Department of Treasury's cell phone from our Department of Agriculture. Ready? Finally, just a heads up, I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate, the text said. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, and in return, the Argentines are removing their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. And he responds, Besant responds, on a plane, Scott, but I'll call you when I land. You guys voted for this. The Democrats, who y'all hate so much, you've been programmed to hate your fellow neighbor, your family members. You guys voted for this. We warned all of you because we're not in a cult. We could see how these decisions affect businesses, affect our farmers. We were fighting for farmers, telling you don't vote for this, and you voted for this. Your tax dollars, this Trump administration just used to fuck you even further. Mr. Soybean Farmer, and grains. This affects a lot of other farmers, not just soybean farmers. Anybody who harvests and sells grains to China. Here you go.
So Donald Trump just said that he is going to be bailing out the farmers using the tariff revenue. Mind you, the tariff revenue is coming from us, the consumers. He said for a little bit the farmers are going to be hurting, but when the tariffs start to kick in, they will start to benefit from it. And then after that, he went on to say that they are bringing in so much tariff revenue after literally saying that farmers are going to be hurting for a while. When is it going to click in that he does not care? I don't think he realizes there's going to be no benefit from this. Because the only people who are benefiting is the government. It's not us. Or he does realize because he did the exact same thing in his first term and people did not learn from that. In his first term, a lot of farmers went bankrupt and lost their family farms and they had to get a government bailout. And now in his second term, people are still losing their farms and they're going bankrupt. Meanwhile, the big corporations are buying up the land that the farmers lost.
Second, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. We're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape because we're taking in a lot of money.
With the new TikTok deal, let's make sure we are sharing these videos so that we can stay in the algorithm.
Can we just talk for a minute about the Arkansas soybean farmers? Arkansas voted 2/3 for Trump. Trump had promised to implement tariffs. Trump then implemented those tariffs. China has retaliated, and because our soybeans, the tariff war made our soybeans too expensive. They decided to buy their soybeans from Brazil, signed 20-year contracts with Brazil, and now for a generation, the Arkansas soybean farmers are screwed because they lost their biggest soybean customer. And they are demanding compensation. Demanding. I mean, I almost admire it. I almost admire the audacity. But they said they don't really like taking government handouts, but, you know, they really don't have a choice. And they are demanding that we compensate them.
FAFO is still going strong, y'all. I live in Arkansas, an agricultural, very red, full-on MAGA state. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is our governor, and the state has gone to the felon-in-chief every time he has run for president. But racism is hella expensive, as white Arkansas farmers are now finding out. They are reaping what they have sown, pun intended.
Well, good evening to you. We begin tonight with hundreds of struggling Arkansas farmers pleading for emergency federal funding amid a farm economy crisis. Channel 7
Oh, so they're asking for handouts.
Farmers and federal officials
Okay.
today in Brooklyn in northeast Arkansas, and has more tonight. Andrew.
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs. Not to mention bad weather earlier in the year.
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up, so after a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big, beautiful bill provided a much-needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy
Oh, well.
is currently in. It's already taken its toll this year.
Six-generation farmer report, and we made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be seventh-generation farmer.
5 of my customers have committed suicide. That's how serious that this is.
Today, Arkansas farmers gathered to share their struggles with staffers from the state's congressional delegation, pleading for Arkansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the governor to convince President Trump to provide emergency funding to help them make it to next year.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right now to make it through this year.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Couple of things I want to point out about that story. First of all, if you notice in that meeting, all the farmers were white. Arkansas does have black farmers, but like black farmers in this nation historically, they were denied much of the government assistance that white farmers have enjoyed and have grown rich off of for generations. So black farms, even though they too are being affected by the economy, have had to become over the years much more self-sufficient and reliant on their community. Another thing I want to point out is that Arkansas farmers were also part of that class action lawsuit that was filed by white farmers from all across the nation because they objected to the government offering a $4 billion stimulus package to black farmers and farmers of color to help them in 2021. And the basis for their lawsuit, they claimed that helping black farmers and farmers of color was unconstitutional and reverse discrimination. These folks are getting exactly what they voted for due to their racism and bigotry. And I am so glad for it. And I do hope that each and every one of them files bankruptcy, have to sell all or most of their land for pennies on the dollar, and I hope that black farmers are able to swoop in and purchase up much of that land. This is their just desserts.
So, watching these farmers on the internet and in these interviews on these news channels brings one thing to mind to me. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So you mean to tell me you want the federal government to bail you out after you voted the way you voted? You voted for this. Mind you, this freak did the same thing to the farming community the last time he was in office, and you all had to be bailed out. So you want taxpayer dollars to bail you out again when this is what you voted for. The level of delusion and privilege is mind-blowing to me. And then you're upset that people lack empathy for you when you had no empathy for anyone else. You voted the same lunatic in office, and he screwed you the last time, and you're shocked that he's screwing you again. Make it make sense. Like I said before, MAGA, y'all are not smart. Y'all are not smart. I'm not sure why you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So, you shouldn't get any sympathy. You should not be bailed out. You should sit in it because this is what you voted for. These are your choices. And you can't say you didn't know because he screwed you the last time. But now you want us to feel bad for you, and you want our tax dollars to bail you out. Make it make sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And you should have to sit in it. You should have to deal with the consequences of your choices and the consequences of your votes. Because you knew better. Because he did it before.
So you know how Trump says everything is going amazing and the economy is booming and there's 1,000 billion jobs every day? Well, obviously that's all bullshit, because farmers are suffering immensely right now, quite literally directly because of Donald Trump's tariffs. And his agriculture secretary today announced that they are going to be sending out farm aid to farmers that are facing difficult times. Like, hey, maybe Brooke Rollins or Donald Trump, you can explain to your base why farmers are facing difficult times. But of course she doesn't do that, and she just acts like this is an amazing, benevolent thing that the government is doing, and not a desperate attempt to cover their own asses.
Of course, the president's effort to realign America around American products and making all of these new deals, we are at a point where we're looking at the harvest, where we're looking at our soybean, corn, wheat, sorghum, cotton farmers who are facing very, very difficult times. We are currently in conversations here at the White House, across the government on a farmer aid package. In our current programming right now, we've got about $13 billion moving out under ECAP, which is our old farmer payment system based on losses from last year and the year before. So this would be in addition to that, in partnership with our colleagues on the Hill. We should have an announcement very soon, perhaps in the next couple of weeks.
That's a lot of industries to bail out. Corn, soybean, wheat, sorghum, cotton. That's just off the top of her head. She's just rattling off every type of farm there is. And again, lady, why are these farms suffering? Could it maybe because of Donald Trump's tariffs? Nobody wants to buy from these farmers anymore. Or could it maybe have to do with the horrific roundup of migrants? That farms are literally losing their labor because Donald Trump's Gestapo is throwing them in concentration camps. Or could it also be because they ended USAID, which bought a ton of stuff from American farmers to use to feed people overseas, to feed children in war zones. But now that USAID has been cut, none of those farmers are being paid for their product. And those children are starving. I'm so sick of this bullshit from this administration where they completely destroy people and then come in and are like, this was Biden's fault, but we're going to fix it with more taxpayer dollars. And Trump had to bail out farmers the first time he was president, too. It's absolutely fucking insane, these people. They are about to try and pass a multi-billion-dollar plan to bail out farmers who they explicitly screwed over. What's it gonna take for you to wake up, MAGA? Is there ever gonna be a final straw for you?
So let me get this straight. Farmers want a bailout of $50+ billion, but their administration, and I say their because most farmers voted for the Trump administration, has now sent $20 billion to their competitor, Argentina, that produces a hell of a lot of soybeans, and that just signed on the dotted line with China to send them their soybeans from Argentina. So as our American market is cut out, half of our market, our soybean market is collapsed, doesn't exist anymore because China said they're not buying soybeans from us. What are we gonna do? I mean, we see that we bailed them out in the first administration, and now we're bailing them out again. But that's the same people, the same party that talks about we don't want to do anything with welfare. We want to get rid of welfare. We want to get rid of any kind of handouts, bailouts. But they keep on getting the bailouts. They keep on getting the handouts. They keep on getting the welfare. So a party that talks about getting rid of these, I don't know, socialist programs, they sure as hell use them a lot. Again, you didn't want to give food to kids for their school lunches. You didn't want to give kids, again, and adults, and parents, a respite from paying those absorbent amounts and educating themselves. You don't want to give people that are disabled health care. So, you explain to me why the rest of America should bail you out. Why do you deserve to be bailed out every single time that Billy needs some new braces? Every time you vote in an administration that hurts your bottom line. Why should we have to suffer? Why should our national debt have to go up to support you? And then we're going to have to keep on doing it over and over again because you guys don't have a market to sell to. And that's the main reason you're asking for a handout. Please, this is specifically to MAGA and Republicans. Explain this to me.
Remember those loud cheers in the Midwest back in 2016? Farmers with MAGA hats waving signs that said, "Make America Great Again." They were convinced Trump could, would be their champion. The man who would put America first. But what they didn't realize was that in Trump's version of America first, they were going to end up last. He told them plain and simple that he would slap tariffs on China. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't fine print. It was literally his campaign promises. And they still voted for him like he was the second coming of crop insurance. Now, here they are in 2015 begging for government bailouts because those very tariffs have come home to roost. Now, the irony is that these same folks who said they didn't want big government handouts, you remember, are now standing in line for, guess what, big government handouts. You can't make this stuff up. It's like watching someone throw a brick in the air and then act shocked when it lands on their head. Farm exports to China have plummeted. Soybean prices crashed, and small farms are closing faster than you can see trade deficit, right? Many of these farmers are now realizing that maybe, just maybe, slogans don't fill silos and tariffs don't pay bills. And then there is Trump, the self-proclaimed deal maker. The man who said trade war or trade wars are easy to win. Easy to win for who exactly? Because it sure doesn't look like the American farmers are celebrating any victories. His so-called tough on China approach turned out to be tough on Americans, even tougher. Instead of outsmarting Belgium, Trump's tariff sparked a full-blown trade war that hit US producers hardest. China didn't blink. They just found other suppliers. Meanwhile, American farmers found themselves stuck with rotten soybeans and unpaid loans. But here is the kicker. When things start falling apart, Trump didn't take responsibility. No. He blamed China, the Democrats, the Federal Reserve, heck, probably the weather too. Anyone but himself. And in the end, what did he do? He threw taxpayers' money at the farmers to cover up his policy mess. That's not strategy, that's damage control. So here we are. The same farmers who helped elect the Tariff King are now drowning in the very storm he created. Maybe next time, before they pull the lever for candidates promising a trade war, they will stop and ask, wait, who's going to get hit first? Because, spoiler alert, it's always the little guy. The billionaires don't feel the burn. The politicians don't lose their homes. It's the everyday Americans, the workers, the small business owners, the farmers who pay the price for bad policies wrapped in good marketing. So what do you think? Should these farmers still be bailed out even though they voted for the man who caused their downfall? Or should this be a hard lesson in political accountability? Drop your thoughts on the comment section. I'm curious to hear where you stand. And as always, if you enjoyed today's breakdown, hit that like button, share the video, and please subscribe to the channel for frequent commentaries on politics, culture, and common sense. Now, thanks for watching Global Views with Josh. I do appreciate you. Where we don't just talk politics, we expose consequences. I'll see you on my next video. Credit belongs to original creators.